Hi, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Writer's Bookshelf. So this week we are going to be doing another mystery book, and this one's going to be really good because this is a compilation of multiple writers who are writing for the mystery genre, all within a collection that's edited by none other than Lee Child. And that book this week is How to Write a Mystery, Handbook from Mystery Writers of America, and again, edited by Lee Child, with Laurie R. King providing support. And what this book is this is obviously not one author's opinion. This is a bunch of people coming together and basically telling you, the budding mystery author, how to get started, how to finish, how to market it, how to do all these things. And it's a really valuable book, just from the perspective of having the big picture perspective of everything you may have to consider when putting your mystery together. So whether you're a newbie or an expert, this is something that it doesn't hurt to go back and just review. Because we all want good refreshers, which again is the point of this series, is to not only tell you which books you should be reading to get better and all that, but also which ones will remind you what your crafting skills are, and certainly where you might want to go if you need some guidance on how to get past a certain hurdles. So here's a quick note of just some of the things that this book covers. So again, I always like to show what is happening on the inside. So here's an example. I just randomly open to a Lee Child page, so look at that. You'll see that Lee Child, he's what we call a pantser, so his argument is never outline, but then that comes into the chapter right after the author. Of course, now I gotta actually thumb through the pages to find it. After the author Jeffrey Deaver, who I think is a medical mystery writer. Anyway, his chapter is called Always Outline. And you'll notice that over on the right there, he's got there's a little snippet from another author. These are basically quotes that other authors who didn't write an article for the book, they have, which is sort of like just a good piece of advice, almost like the size of a Facebook post or Twitter page. But every section in this book has a chapter from an author, usually an essay or maybe something that you might find in a magazine article that they've edited for the book. And then you have your social media post, not really, but it equates to the length of a social media post after each article. And then each article is also part of a greater section. So like all these books that I cover, they're not all just straightforward beginning to end, all one category. They're usually made up of several categories. So in this particular case, this book has, if you go into the table of contents right here, hopefully you can see that. You'll see that at the top there, in nice generic Times New Roman, the kind of font that I used to use for my high school research papers. You'll find it broke down by rules and genres. Oops, I already skipped a page. Other mysteries, the writing, after the writing, and then that's basically it. Just 4 main categories. Unless I'm missing one, because again, all the font is very Word document looking here. So basically, it's pretty straightforward. You have the first couple sections define the mystery or the different types of mystery genres. So, for example, you've got you have an overview of trying to get the reader to understand what the rules of writing a mystery is. So you have. It's teaching you to know the rules and break them, how to keep it thrilling, and then you go into some of the genre subgenres of mystery. So that includes the amateur sleuth, the police procedure, cannot speak, the police procedural. You know what I'm trying to say. And then you got writing noir, then crossing genres, which is interesting. This is where you might write a mystery sci-fi or mystery horror, things like that. Then you have, how do I keep skipping pages here? You got the historical mystery, then you got the medical thriller, and then the spy thriller. So those are some of the things that they comment on. Again, bear in mind, these are essay length. These are not going to be full-on books on each genre topic. There are books out there for each one. A lot of the indie writers will do these. I don't know that the big-name writers will do this often, but you can find individual books on specific subgenres out there. I don't necessarily know what the quality of them might be, but there are a few out there. You can especially find one with police procedurals and things like that. That's pretty easy to get. But yeah, so once you go through, you can sort of get a feel for what the genres are like. So let's look at the spy thriller because I'm a fan of the spy thriller genre. And so I'm going to just show you what that looks like from here. Again, I'm not going to read it per se, but I want you to just get a feel for the quality of the work. So this is okay, Researching the Spy Thriller by Gail Lenz. And I'll just read the first paragraph just so you, again, get a feel for quality. Oh, and you'll notice the little subheading up there at the top says, or why I can't just make it all up. So that's pretty profound. All right, so Galen says, whether you're an intelligence community veteran or a civilian who's never set foot inside any of the alphabet agencies, which again would be like FBI, CIA, all those, you've no doubt discovered as you plan and write your novels that there are things you don't know, or maybe you think you know, but you're not sure. So you Google whatever you're wondering about, or you check your files, or perhaps you make some phone calls. If you're allergic to the word research, you probably wouldn't use it to describe what you've just done. Maybe you'd call it looking stuff up. And then it goes on and asks the question, why research? Okay, as you can see down there in the little subheader. So that's a very quick example of the kind of quality you're getting, but you can see it's definitely accessible. Like they're not going to write over your head. If you're the kind of person who just needs people to talk to you straight, that's what you can get out of this book. So it's pretty good in that regard. And again, all the authors do this. Like, you know, again, these are all professional authors, but none of them are professional talkers. I want to say they're not. I'm sure they can speak, but I'm saying they're not there to try to speak above your head. They do want to make sure you get it, so they're going to write in a way that you'll follow along and not lose a step. So then you have the next category is called Other Mysteries. This is where you deal with the child mysteries, young adult mysteries, and graphic novels, and then short mysteries. And then they have this interesting one here called The 10 Stupid Questions You Might Ask About True Crime, which is up here, if you can follow my finger, and if I can get this on the camera. So, again, you got a really wide range of topics for just the opening act of trying to determine what subgenre of mystery and thriller that you're writing in, so that you can actually stay true to the genre and format that you're working with. And again, remember that every mystery, every thriller that has a subgenre has different requirements for that subgenre. But one of the key factors in all of it is the research, to make sure that you know what you're talking about. That you're not just winging it. Don't do what I like to do, which is just to write and pretend you can do the research later, and hope that the research you find doesn't, contradict everything you just wrote about, which is a true story that happened to me in 2005 when I wrote a thriller about an IRS agent, which I do plan to go back and eventually update. But yeah, I finally was able to get a hold of the PIO, a couple years later, to find out if this was even a plausible idea that I had, and the answer was no. So it was still a fun story. I enjoyed writing it, but yeah, you want to try not to get yourself stuck in that unbelievable corner after you've written the whole thing. Try to do your research ahead of time if you can, or just bend the rules a little bit and just pretend like the the job functions are flexible. Put it that way, which I probably would have ended up doing if I had just committed to the story and just said, "Oh, okay, well, you'll never do this in that department. Okay, fair enough. My guy's going to." So I could have just done that. Maybe I should have, but it doesn't matter. All right, so. Next, after you go into the different genres and all that, then you're going to go into the actual writing. So this is where you're going to begin to see kind of the repeat ideas of, every book on writing's got to have your section on structure. So they do have sections on style, and of course the always outline, never outline. And then you have Laurie R. King, who's another editor here, does the art of the rewrite. So she says, turning your raw first draft into a clear, compelling story. Again, a lot of the books will cover this, a lot of others won't. So it never hurts to remind yourself that it's not a first draft only. Even if Lee Child himself is famous for having first draft only, you always want more. Does he really not revise his? I mean, is that true? Someone out there, if you watch this video and you know the answer to that, leave a comment below. Does Lee Child actually write one draft only and then that's it? Is that the book we get published, or is there really a secret revision process happening there? You guys tell me. All right. actually reminds me too. I saw an interview with Dean Koontz, and apparently he writes, revises, and fixes and finalizes as he goes. So I thought that was really interesting to know that, because that just proves everybody's got their own style, and if you have your own style that works, go with it. I've been trying to change my plans for the last 10, 15 years, and I've finished one book in the last 10, 15 years. The old way I used to do it, I could finish a book, a couple books a year. So I really need to go back to my old way. So again, it's a little bit of a side tangent, but if you have a method that works, don't change it up too much, unless it really results in terrible writing. Anyway, next you have Deborah Crombie's Plot and the Bones of a Mystery. So that's when you bring all together all the elements of your novel so it stands strong. And by the way, I'm not mentioning every author in here, because again, I would hope that you're going to get the book and then you can see for yourself who all the contributors are. But overall, the point of this video is to show, not only that the book is worth it, but why. You have diversity in crime fiction, so this is where you enrich your novels by writing characters, not categories. Then you have the protagonist, then the one for the villain of the piece, and you have the supporting characters. And then the last couple there, you have writing the talk and then setting. Are always worth going back and reviewing, like because these are all characters themselves. The way people speak as a character, where they speak at as a character. I've tried to establish my little curtain here as a character. Notice I have it split down black gray, and then I've got all this going on. Is that by accident? Not anymore. I think it was in the beginning, but I figured out that this is kind of cool. So I've established a character with my own little fake set here. AKA, it's a fake set. But then past setting, then you get into more interesting things like humor and crime fiction, and then writing in a partnership. So if you plan to co-write with anybody, there's some advice on how to make that work and how not to give up and throw each other under the bus. It's kind of good stuff there. By the way, the humor and crime fiction, I do think that's a really good one for me in particular, because anybody who's read my books knows that that's my bread and butter. I cannot write serious. I try, and it just feels awkward to me. And even the one I just started for NaNoWriMo for 2022, which is recording this video on day one of NaNoWriMo. I wasn't going to do NaNoWriMo this year. In fact, I think one of my last videos, I said I wasn't going to do NaNoWriMo this year, and then I thought, dang it, I need to do NaNoWriMo this year. And so I'm doing a thriller that I had in my ideas bank for probably about a year and a half, and it was one of the ones that I was going to try to do serious, and then, day one, it's like, it's not slapstick, but it was supposed to kind of take a concept from the other guys, and because the other guys is a comedy, I just kind of feel like, well, I guess mine's a comedy too, so what can you do? So after you have all the stuff on writing, then you're going to get into the after the writing. So this is like the last section here. This is interesting because this is all your marketing stuff. A lot of the books I've covered so far has not dealt with marketing. I think the one I did last time with how to write and sell your mystery thriller, that did do some marketing. But this goes into more of that. So what I like about this one is it goes into a few areas where most books don't cover. So like the first one is called The Secrets of a Book Critic by Oline H. Cogdill, who I guess is a book reviewer. And one thing that I don't know if it's he or she, but one thing that this writer mentions that I thought was really interesting, to the point where I thought, okay, well, I should pay attention to that. She talked about paid reviews in particular, and how a lot of self-publishers will go get paid reviews. And she explains why that is a bad idea. And I thought that was really interesting to have that note in there. Because, when you're trying to bootstrap your way through to success, you're looking for anything you can to get exposure. And I think the point here is gain exposure through natural ways, because that shows that your book is something that people want to review, hopefully for the better. So I thought that was an interesting statement to make about reviews. So that was, I feel like that is kind of worth the weight of this whole book, just because most books never talk about reviews, or if they do so in passing. But I mean, this is like a full, almost 10-page essay on how to be a book critic, but also how to respond, or how to keep on going in your writing career, in the face of the book critic. And then you have self-publishing. Just again, if you're a self-published author, just give some tips from an expert or from somebody who's done it successfully. Lillian Hart's her name. This is someone who actually has independently written, and she's done well enough that she's now featured in this book. So there you go. Then you have authors online. So this is where you can build your social media, build your tribe, as they call it. Specifically, they call it. I'm sorry, no, that's not it. That's the next one. This is the one where you build your author identity and you reach out to other readers. So this is where you're trying to actually figure out what your branding is. Are you kind of a moody, dour mystery writer? Are you a hilarious mystery writer? Are you a cross-genre mystery writer? What's your brand? And then you have building your community. That's where you go into your social media, working with Facebook, Instagram, all of those. And so they're emphasizing the writer, not the book. So everything that's in this section is about branding yourself as the author, not as the book. But again, it's good advice from experts. If you're kind of new to the whole field, this is a good way to kind of get you on track and remind you what works and what doesn't. And then the last thing they have here is the legal considerations. So that's the very bottom. And this is good too because, again, not every book covers legal issues, but legal issues is something we all need to be aware of because it's very easy to make our book dangerous to our own career if we add things to it that shouldn't be in there. Here's some good advice called "Don't Be a Jerk," if you're wondering. If you can see it by my finger here, and that again is from the section on self-publishing. So if you're going to self-publish, don't be a jerk. Here's another excerpt from "There Is No Secret Sauce." This is number 1 on that section. She says, this is again Lillian Hart, "You've got to write a good book, period. That was the truth 10 years ago. It's the truth today." She's referencing the golden age. And it'll be the truth 10 years from now. The longevity of your career depends on the content you create. So, and that's it. That's all she says for number 1. And yet it's number 1. It's the most important thing to remember is you have to write a good book overall. And of course, she really makes it real for the author. Like, if you want to be successful at self-publishing, just do these 10 things and, you'll stand a chance. She's not saying you'll be successful, but she's saying that you at least have a shot at being successful. But anyway, that's generally the overview of how to write a mystery edited by Lee Child. And again, you see I have the hardcover here because I bought it new. It is now in paperback, so you don't have to get the hardcover if you don't want to. But I highly recommend this one. I recommend most of the books that I cover. But again, I told you guys I want to do some genre books this season, and this is one of the ones I really enjoy, or at least the ones I find valuable. The one before it, I really think was also valuable. I think both combined, you're going to get a lot of information on how to write a good mystery, and then of course how to get it in front of your readers. But again, it's all about education. You want to make sure that you're not, leaving money on the table by doing something stupid in your writing. You want to make sure that what you're writing is working. So this is a good guideline. If you can read a craft book as often as possible, between novels, during novels, for inspiration, it's good to kind of recenter your thinking. That said, you obviously want to at some point get away from the instruction and get to the writing. So depending on where you are, maybe you're ready for this, maybe not. But I think it's something where if you're serious about writing, specifically mysteries, you should get the book. But I also like it just for its last section. Its last section has some practical advice for all writers, and they address it to include all writers. I mean, there's some other things in there too about just in the writing process, about villains, about protagonists, about side characters, about settings. Again, all of it's useful. It's geared toward mystery in particular, but it's not exclusive to it. So as anything else, I think you get a lot out of it, regardless of your genre. But it's helpful, especially for mystery and thriller writers. And again, Lee Child put his name on it, and Lee Child is a mega millionaire. So nothing wrong with that, right? So anyway, that covers it for today. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you plan on buying this book, and let me know if there's other mystery or thriller base books that you've read that you think is worth reading. Leave it in your comments below on the books you recommend for people learning how to write the craft, specifically with this genre. Next week, the next couple weeks rather, we're going to do something kind of in the realm of mystery, but it's not going to be genre based. It's going back to craft, but it's going to be a type of craft that is beneficial to thriller writers in general, even though it's not exclusive to it. Again, it's a craft book is generally all encompassing. This next one will be all encompassing, but you'll find that it's heavily weighted on this particular area, and certainly one that this particular type of genre would benefit a lot from. So come on back to unlock the surprise of what that might be. And again, we're doing this every 2 weeks. At some point, I may have to move to every month, depending on how slow I am, because this season I have not been keeping up with the reading as like I had the first two. So at some point, I may have to, take a short break, because I quite honestly may run out of topics, but we're not there yet. So come back in a couple weeks, and we'll have the next one ready for you. So anyway, that's it for now, and hope you have a good day. And if you this is going to air after NaNoWriMo ends, so hopefully you made your goal. If not, try again in Camp NaNoWriMo in April. So there's never too late. Don't forget, I do have a template out there for Scribner called Basic NaNoWriMo Template. I updated it for 2022. So that one, the new update includes an ideas bank, so you can list all your ideas and then pick your favorite, and then based on your criteria. And then of course there's a social media section. So if you are a social media hound and you have an audience that likes to follow you in social media, feel free to fill that out. I don't have anyone on mine, so I'm not going to bother with it, but it's there for you guys if you want it. So I just use the basics, count my journal, all that stuff. But anyway, again, you're getting this in December, so you probably don't need it right now, but make sure you get it for April if you're going to do camp. So, all right, that's it. Come back next time. We'll see you for the next video. Thanks. Have a good day. And don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the things YouTubers tell you to do, because that's what YouTube, wants. And we want to, bow to the masters of YouTube. Yes. Anyway, all right, that's it. Take care. Have fun. Bye.